Hi babes. So I was guided to come on here and I am opening up this live for any type of questions that the collective might have. I'm trying to stay away from love readings, right? This is more about where we're at. I'm hearing on like a DNA cellular level, where we're at with our alignment to source, where we're at with our gifts, how to enhance our intuitive gifts, right? How to surrender more. Okay, so yeah, let's talk about gifts. Let's really talk about how to expand ourselves. Let's talk about what expansion really means. And let's see what guidance comes through, okay? I'm opening this up. Again, if you guys have questions too, you are more than welcome to ask. But again, I'm trying to stay away from love readings, right? This is all about our soul. This is about ascending past this plane. This is about going into higher levels of dimensions. And I'm not just talking about like manifesting, guys. I'm really talking about ascending our consciousness and healing past this plane of existence, right? That is the ultimate goal for every soul on this planet. So let's talk about it. What does that entail, right? First and foremost, in order for us to ascend, we have to absolutely connect to our hearts. Why? Why do we have to connect to our hearts? First of all, our heart is one of the most powerful toroidal field generators within the body. Okay, what does that mean? Your heart creates and amplifies your auric field, right? It's a way, it's almost like a converted. Sorry, we are in my greenhouse right now, so we are going to we are subject to the elements. All right. So we're gonna clear that. All right, so in order for us, right, to connect, right, what does our heart do? Our heart opens us up and activates us into higher levels of awareness. Our heart literally becomes this generator of energy, right? And more so than that, our heart is the key to activating not only all of your spiritual gifts, but also activating higher levels of consciousness, activating higher levels of awareness, activating higher levels of understanding, and also higher levels of healing. Okay, and the way this matrix is made, it's divinely designed. All right, everybody knows this. Like, it is divinely designed. God is in charge, 110%. We do have, they're saying, trickster energies that come through, right, that do manipulate. And these trickster energies, they could be actual lower vibrational frequencies, but a lot of times these lower vibrational frequencies are simply lost versions of ourselves that we have neglected and or decided to discard, that we've decided we're not worthy of. So we've displaced ourselves from that. We've created a disconnect from that. And so these energies end up, right, they have some sort of like not a consciousness, right? But there is an energy attached to it because our energy and our emotional energy is attached to it also, right? And now when we come into this plane of existence, or when we come into this life, we are bombarded with all of these energies, and they're almost overlapping this planet like a gridwork system, right? And as you activate your heart, you are then able to pierce through those different layers of the veil, those different layers of the grid, right? And then you are also able to in turn transmute, which basically means just change the alchemical makeup of, right? So you're changing its formation, you're making it go from a lower vibration up to a higher one, right? That's alchemy. We do that with our emotions. I know it's turning lead into gold, right? Is it Rumpelstiltskin? Is it Rumpelstiltskin? Can somebody I think that he's the one who like weaves the thread into gold. Is that him? But essentially what he's doing is he's alchemizing, okay? And think of that thread as the energetic cords that you have tied to you within this reality. And like those energetic cords extend not only from this reality, but to multiple realities, right? Multiple dimensions. Like, this is a quantum universe. This is a quantum experience. And what that means is that there's so many different layers of complexities is the easiest way for me to put this. But basically it's just so many different layers of energies all formulated into one, right? And they're showing me also like the source point, which is the 0 point energy matrix, which is where creation takes place. Source point is where everything stems from. It's the all and it's the nothing at the same time, okay? This is going very interesting. All right, but when we incarnate into this planet, right? So we come in carrying stuff from our soul, right? Because we have our own soul. We come in carrying stuff from our family, okay? We come in then carrying things from the collective, because wherever you incarnate, you also take on the energetic interference, they're saying, surrounding you, okay? So these are a lot of things that we as a collective are bombarded with on a daily basis, but we're not even taught this, right? No, when are you taught this in school? When, confirmation burp, when did you sit down in class and learn, hey, by the way, like when you step outside the door, sometimes the thoughts that you pop into your head are not actually your thoughts. They're just lingering thoughts that you are quite literally intercepting as you go past them. And you're just reading the data. Your body is simply reading it, and it's coming to your mind as a thought because that was a thought pattern or projection that was left by somebody. Like we're electromagnetic beings, my friends. Like we respond to energy and vibrations and frequencies, right? I don't know if you know that, but that's how we are. So like when you were in school, were you taught that? Were you taught that, by the way, your emotions, when you project them onto somebody, you're actually projecting it back onto yourself? Or were you taught when you project your emotions onto an inanimate object or even like a plant, that plant will take on the characteristics of whatever it is that you're projecting? Kind of like that experiment that they did with the plants at the museum, where they had one plant on each side and they told groups to speak nicely to one plant and then say mean things to the other, and the nice plant, the one that was spoken to very nicely and loved and nurtured through words and even thoughts and expression of emotion, it thrived, right? And the plant that was spoken to and disregarded and basically put down and was deconstructed basically with the thoughts and emotions and words of humans, right? And that ended up withering and dying. So it quite literally shows how powerful our thoughts are, our emotions are, and how much those seemingly harmless thoughts that you're not saying are actually being projected out into the environment around you. Okay, so being responsible for your thoughts is one of they're bringing us back to the heart, is one of the ways that you can start to understand where you're at with the level of healing, one that you need to do internally in regards to like your reflections of yourself, but also externally, okay? And when it comes to even like amplifying your gifts, right? In order for you to bring on or even turn back on or remember your gifts, one, you have to first work through the belief that you don't even have gifts. Because you were taught to believe that magic isn't real. You were taught to believe that like superheroes don't exist, that that's just in movies, right? You were taught to believe that you're just a normal human being. You were taught to believe that the sun can kill you. Meanwhile, the sun activates your DNA. Like what? Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, don't be upset with yourself for like all the things that you're holding on to, right? Especially all the things that you were projected onto and all the things that you were brought into, right? Sometimes we just unconsciously accept things based on what we're brought into because when we trusted that they had our best interest in mind, right? We trusted. We're like, oh yeah, no, okay. Why I wouldn't tell somebody a lie. Like, you know what I mean? I'm here to help somebody. So if I'm going to tell somebody something, I'm going to tell them based on the fact that it's true. No? So like growing up, that's what we encountered. So don't be so hard on yourself when you're coming into now finding these realizations of these belief systems, and you're like, holy shit, like, I can't believe I believe that about myself. But it's like, yo, it's totally okay, because we all believe crazy things about ourselves and even this planet, right? And it's all because, like, again, we were brought into systems that, you know, we thought had our best interests in mind. And now we're like learning as we ascend and as we open up our heart and as we start to discern with our heart, we're like, wait, something doesn't feel right here. Like, my heart's telling me that something doesn't feel right, and I'm gonna trust that. Okay? Okay. All right. So I'm opening up. Thank you, everybody who's here. I love you all. Love you all. My name's Jennifer. Hi, how are you? I just released a book. Sorry, my card's about to fall. This is the proof of it. God in You, right? It's now on Amazon. I've got copies coming in the mail for myself. But the reason why I'm like even bringing my book up is because that's why I wrote the book. Like, I wrote this book to help us heal. I wrote this book to help people come to realizations within themselves. I wrote this book to help people understand the process of trauma, to understand how trauma is stored in the body, to understand how we actually experience the internal belief systems that we're projecting. It's all in here. And then in here also are steps, guided activations, and meditations, and releasing instructions and tools on how to move past it and then like gain a better understanding from it, and then grow from it, and then be able to then amplify that. And then there's also things that are like, what people would consider to be a little bit more creative, right? I've also included like downloads that I've received while I'm working on people. I'm an intuitive massage therapist, psychic, Reiki master, clairvoyant. In my book, I also didn't want to write this. I had to put stuff about myself. Okay. But basically the stuff that I put about myself was my story, right? Me growing up being the only one that can experience demonic entities and not being believed. And then how I ended up shutting myself down, and then how I turned my gifts back on again, right? And in this book, it guides you to do that too, right? Because I came in activated, and I know that some of you that are watching this too also came in activated, but then things around you started shutting you down, right? Those projections that people were telling you, like, no, you can't fly, like, no, you can't heal people, you can't just know things. You have to study things to know things. What? Like, no, you can't just know things. It's called claircognizance. And that is a spiritual gift. Then you get that when you allow yourself to release any belief systems tied to you not knowing all and you not being connected to all that is, which is God. And if you're connected to God, who is all that is, who knows all that is, what do you mean you wouldn't know all that is? If you're connected, why shouldn't you? Of course you do. But we weren't taught that. We weren't reminded of this when we came in, right? We were systematically dumbed down on purpose. When we come in as children, infants, we're geniuses already. It's our conditioning around it that makes us, oh, okay, this is where we're starting. Okay. But no, like, a lot of us have come in fully activated, but through those life experiences, especially traumatic experiences as children, we shutted ourselves down. All right, but it's really time for us to reactivate and reawaken to our infinite nature, to reawaken to our truly divine quantum nature and our co-creating abilities. My loves, we create galaxies and universes with our thoughts, with our actions, with our emotions, with our intentions. This is your true gift. Like, you're here for a purpose, okay? Part of the reason why you're here is to help you release those beliefs that block you from ascending to literally Jesus level, is what I'm hearing. Everybody who incarnates has the capacity to get to Jesus level. He showed us on purpose. He just did the work. That's all. He did the work. He had to do the work. Like, he came in, his family, right? The town where he grew up in, they didn't believe who he was. It even said like he wasn't able to perform miracles in his town because they did not believe. Why? So what does that mean? That means that those people, right, because they didn't believe, they blocked themselves from being able to accept it, to receive it, and then thus experience it. That's all it is, right? But so much of us, and so many of us have accepted these belief systems that have quite literally shunted your power. They've quite literally shunted your capacity to expand. And from this, it's even shunted your capacity to create. It's shunted your capacity to imagine things. It's shunted your capacity to feel sometimes, right? Confirmation burp. It's shunted your capacity to see. And I'm not just talking about seeing with our eyes. I mean seeing truly through divine sight, okay? But we all have the ability to remember this. And that's when we remember who we are, okay? It's time to remember who we are. We are here to not only ascend to higher levels, but to also help others ascend to higher levels. And through that, these foundational matrix systems then ascend to higher levels. And then think about how beautiful this experience becomes. Because it's no longer based on old foundational belief systems of fear and survival, right? And lack mentality. It's then built and constructed on abundance, on love, on authenticity, which when you're in authenticity and love, you start creating. You start manifesting energy. You become, I'm seeing like a supernova. And then I'm also seeing like somebody's energy body turning into like gold light, and the way that it's generating but also transmuting energy at the same time. It's like you become this powerhouse of energy. Like you become your own sun. And then from that, the sun, what? The sun gives life, right? The sun creates growth. From that, you quite literally, every room you enter in, you change. You alchemize just by being there. That's beautiful. And we all have the capacity to do that. We all do. We're just not taught these things. So we are not taught these things. All right. But we're here to remember, right? Right, loves? We are here to remember because it's a brand new day. It's a brand new day. And this is coming in quick. Okay? This is coming in quick. Now, they're saying, how do we know it's coming in quick? Because balance is here. Case in point. Because balance is here. There has been enough people who have anchored in certain higher intelligence frequencies that have started a domino effect on the changing of this matrix. Okay, that is why like things, they don't feel normal, because the old way it's done. It's been done. So like anything still attached to that old way has to change. So like you're being now pushed and forced at this time. Like the planet's ready. Like Mother Earth is ready. Like universe has been ready. We're fine. Like thank God y'all are ready now. It only took fucking I don't know how long. My God. Okay. But like we're here now and there's no going back. So how do you prepare for this, right? How do you allow yourself to acclimate to these energies easier? How do you allow yourself to be stable and grounded while integrating? One, you get outside as much as possible. Nature is very healing. You drink as much water as possible. We are made up of water, right? We are electromagnetic beings. Water is very conducive of energy. Part of the reason why our body holds so much water is because we conduct so much energy, right? Everything. We are literal energy bodies, just vibrating at different frequencies, and that's why part of our body is flesh and dense and we can grab it, and that's why the other parts of our auric field we can't see it and we can't touch it, right? Because it's light. Okay, what else can we do? They're highly, baths are very significant, okay? Being in water, even if it's just going outside while it's raining, very, very important, okay? That helps to clear, that helps to ground, that helps to transmute energy. If you have a pool, setting the intention that when you go in the water, you're actually connecting to God through the water, okay? Water is a portal. What else? Taking baths. Baths are also very beneficial. If you put Celtic sea salt and baking soda in your bath, also very beneficial. They're like, throw your book on there. Throw my book on there. My book, God in You, okay? It helps give you answers and insights, okay? I also, in my book, discuss how pain is held within the body, right? And also how emotions are stored within the body and how those emotions actually trigger pain within the body and what certain pains mean within the body and how they're tied to what specific chakras. That's all in here. A link to my book is in my bio, just so you know everything. This was a passion project between me and God. This is like literally, I remember making a vision board. Whoa, it was like almost 10 years at this point. And on it, you want to know what was really weird? On my vision board, I cut out New York Times best-selling author and I put it on there. I was like, I don't know why I feel like I should cut this out, but I cut it out. I wasn't planning on writing a book. I was not. I was quite literally guided. God was like, no, girl, this is, hello. Welcome to your mission, girl. There you go, okay? Now, this book, it's not just a book. Like I said, it is a tool. It's part journal, it's part workbook, and it's part chapter book, okay? It really is, I think, one of the coolest things I've ever done. And what's also really cool is the synchronicities that have been happening to people, one, when they're buying the book, even when they're reading the book. Like, for example, the editor was telling me that while she was editing one portion of my book, in it, this was the part where the house that I was living in when I was older was severely haunted by demonic entities, and there was an interaction happening between me and one of those entities that's in the book. And so I started praying the Our Father. And if you get the book, you'll read about it. But she was saying, not even 5 minutes after she was done editing that portion of the book, a character, I'm getting chills, on the TV started saying the Our Father. And she was just like, oh my God, okay. And she's not religious at all. She's not religious whatsoever. She's like, you know what I mean? I don't even know if, I think this might have freaked her out a little bit, but that's just how amazing this thing, and I don't even want to say, I don't even call it a thing. It's literally, it's my life's work. It's a tool, but it's a book about you. It really is, because I am you and you are me. And this book helps us to really see that. And it really helps us to break down any type of like mental and emotional constructs that we have that block us towards seeing the interconnected nature of not only you and I that are interacting right now, but all that is. All right, so I love you all so much. So that's all about my book. Thank y'all for listening. I appreciate that so much. So before I head out, we're gonna pull some cards. We're gonna see what's coming through for this collective that is tuned in. And if you've stayed this long, I love you. Thank you. It really means a lot, because I know that you can do whatever you want. So thank you so much for spending your time with me. That really means a lot. All right, so they want to use the holographic deck. And when I say they, just so everybody is aware, my spirit team consists of one, God, because first and foremost, whenever I'm doing anything, wake up first thing, God, all right? So it's God. Then I have Jesus, because that's his, homeboy, that's right hand man. And also my brother, your brother too, by the way. He wants to say hi. He loves you all. And then Mary, I have her on my left-hand side. Obviously, she's the one who created Jesus, and also her and I have a very intimate relationship. And then I have archangels that stand behind me. We have Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, Uriel, Sandalphon, and Azrael wanted to pop in real quick. Okay, so that being said, we're going to go now. Let's see what messages want to come out for this collective. Oh, my third eye is blaring to go. So if anybody right now in this collective is feeling pressure or tingling, that's confirmation. I'm also hearing you're a little bit congested, like I'm hearing in the ear, nose, and throat area. So try and gargle with some salt water if you're feeling kind of congested right now. Okay, okay. All right, so we have the Death card and the, how would you want it? Both upright? Okay. So we have the Death card and we also have the Three of Cups. So what is this telling us? First and foremost, 3 and 4 is what? 7. Beautiful. So this is a divine message, okay? This is the divine quite literally telling you, celebrate all the endings that you're going through right now. It's hard for us as humans to celebrate endings because we have been conditioned to believe that endings are so permanent, right? And not only that, we've been conditioned to believe that an ending is like a complete severance of, right? And whenever we end something, we were also taught that once you end it, you're depleted. Like there's no going back, right? But what we're not taught is that when you end things, you actually ascend things. End things so you ascend things and celebrate those ascensions, celebrate those endings, right? Because that also leads to your ascension. Why would that lead to your ascension? Anybody want to you know, just throw that out there. We're gonna have a talk. Anybody want to know or want to tell me, why would celebrating an ending lead to your ascension? If you said celebrating your endings means you are then ascending to higher levels of consciousness because you are able to perceive what happened to you from a higher level of experience or higher level of perception, and therefore you release any trauma attached to those endings, you are correct. So well done. Okay, so what are we going to do, my loves? We are going to celebrate those endings because those endings mean we're ascending. I love that. That was, God, you guys are good. Ending mean we're ascending. Okay, let's keep going. All right, so what happens when we... sorry, I got to fix my legs because I was sitting cross-legged. All right, so what happens after we end and celebrate... Or I'm sorry, after we celebrate our endings, what happens? What happens? All right, so what does this mean, guys, right? So if you don't know tarot, what this means is 6 of Pentacles. This is us being able to build foundations. This is us. It's almost like the scales finally being balanced, okay? It also represents good karma, okay? This could, ooh, full body chills. Yes, good karma. This could also represent the things that we put out there are getting back, right? So the seeds that you've sown, you'll get back. So basically you celebrating your ending or anything that is ending equals you celebrating what's coming in. Quite literally, because one, first of all, I don't know if you all know this, but my book talks about this holographic projection that we experience, that it's a quantum reality, also mirrors our internal world, right? So if that's a truth, right? This world mirrors our internal world, okay? So if we allow ourselves to celebrate our endings, what does that mean? That means what comes in is something to celebrate because we're filling back in what we just put out. But we're moving past it and moving higher because we're celebrating it, right? We're not attaching to it, which then brings in back. We're happy. Yay. Yay, things are moving. Yay, we're ascending. Yay. And because of that, guess what? You get yay back. But then they're like, what happens also is it comes in such a way that is unexpected, because 8 of Wands is very fast moving energy. It's also sometimes very unexpected, and sometimes it might even like knock you off your feet. Okay, so allow yourself to have those types of experiences. Okay, so that's what comes in. What comes in is the good karma. You get to reap what you've sown, quite literally, but you get to reap it from a place of mastery, from this Emperor point of view, right? Confirmation. The Emperor It's the counterpart to the Empress, right? Emperor could be seen as like the father, masculine side of God, and the Empress can be viewed as the divine feminine, nurturing Holy Spirit, mother side of God, okay? But when you start celebrating your endings, right? When you start celebrating any deaths or transformations that you have, you then allow the quantum nature of this reality to start reorganizing things in and around you. First, it's going to start internally, because it always has to start internally before it shows up externally, okay? So it's going to start reorganizing things around you, and then through that, your external reality is going to start to shift. And you might be, and how does this happen, right? So they're saying, like, for example, you might be driving one day after you have this revelation, after you have this release, after you have the surrender. And while you're driving, instead of taking a right that you normally take, you might hear left. And just because you went left, you allowed different forms of energy to come in, different experiences. You're opening up new energy pathways. You're expanding, okay? Okay. So, I love you all. Thank you so much for rocking with me. This is my book, God in You. It is available on Amazon now. Remember, you have to start celebrating those endings. Because when you start celebrating those endings, you start ascending. I love you. Have a great night. Okay, bye.